Yo, what's up guys, hope you guys are doing good. So today we are going to see what if Naruto becomes Hokage after death of Sarutobi part 2. Hope you will enjoy this video, so before we start please like the video and subscribe to our channel and hit bell notification, it motivates me to upload more fanfics for my lovely audience. So let's get started. The night rolled on throughout the village, many of its inhabitants were fast asleep, while the night owls were either doing some sort of job or roaming the streets about to pass out from drinking. However, the few who weren't shinobi noticed increased movement around the Hokage Tower, as every minute Jonin were entering and leaving the place. Even some chunin were seen roaming around the tower, and for any drunks who got close, they were immediately escorted home by someone. While many citizens knew that something was taking place, they didn't know what exactly. Some thought a new Hokage had been decided on and they were preparing for him, others felt that perhaps the council hadn't voted yet and were setting up to do so. Not like they would ever know the answer, the ordinary citizen knew nothing of the governmental affairs, and that was for the best, especially since many citizens might be upset if they knew exactly who was about to assume the office of Hokage. As the night continued, one of the legendary Sannin made his way down the street, his large scroll on his back as a sense of pride resonated throughout his body. As he got closer to the tower, many of the shinobi quickly eyed him before returning to their duty, the members of the Hyuga clan who had been swiftly summoned confirming his chakra to make sure he was the real deal. As he walked up to the door, the one standing guard at it gave a smile to the Sannin as he got closer. Jiraiya-sama, it's nice to see you again. Iruka, it's been a while. Still teaching at the academy. It's where my passion lies, so of course haha. I'm guessing you're here to attend the private ceremony for the 5th. Yeah, I am. Have you been told yet who it is? Iruka sighed as he shook his head. No, only the Jonin know. The Chunin have been called here for extra security, but we've not been told anything regarding the event. We don't even know who the 5th is. All we've been told is that he's expected to arrive sometime early in the morning and that the entire area has been encased in some sort of genjutsu to hide who they are. I see. Well, you may be allowed to watch the ceremony. I'm sure you'll be surprised at who it is. Huh, you know who it is, Jiraiya-sama. Yeah, I attended the voting. They requested me there to answer some questions about the Hokage-elect since he still doesn't know he's been chosen. I see. While it's true that whoever it is, won't be told until right beforehand, I am curious as to why they asked you to attend. The only person I can think of them needing you to answer questions would be Tsunade-sama, another one of the legendary Sannin, but everyone keeps referring to the Hokage-elect as a he, so. Yeah, it's not her. Don't think being Hokage would suit her, to be honest, she's a little too brash if you ask me. I see. They didn't break protocol and had you answer questions about yourself, did they? Jiraiya gave another laugh as he shook his head. No, I don't think I could ever do this job. Not only is there way too much paperwork involved, but I wouldn't have enough time to do my research. Jiraiya got a goofy grin on his face as Iruka raised an eyebrow. What was he talking about? I see. Well, I'm sorry to say that I don't know who you might be close enough to answer questions about them. Hey, it's fine, I've been training him in secret for years now. Somehow the daimyo found out though, and that became one of the reasons he was chosen. Well, if they're your personal apprentice Jiraiya-sama, then I think they're perfect for the job. Jiraiya got a smirk on his face as he nodded as he began to walk past Iruka and into the building. Well, I think I'll go take my seat before the clan's heads arrive. Be sure to congratulate the Hokage-elect when you see him. Huh, but I don't know who it is. Hehe. Trust me, when you see him, you'll immediately know. Iruka gave another confused look as Jiraiya walked inside of the tower as shinobi continued to go here and fro. The night continued peacefully, and that included one Naruto Uzumaki, who quietly slept on his bed in his apartment, the exhaustion from yesterday entirely taking over his body. Hours went by, and soon the night slowly started turning light as the sun began to creep up in the distance. its rays shining directly into Naruto's face, causing him to scrunch as he tossed and turned until his eyes slowly started to open up. As he awoke from his slumber, he pushed himself up and stretched as he yawned as he looked down at his clothes. Oh yeah, I passed out when I was training with Kakashi-sensei yesterday. Naruto gave another yawn and was about to fall back to sleep when a voice interrupted him. Sleep well. Hearing the voice, Naruto suddenly went wide-eyed as he pushed himself up and looked around until he saw Kakashi leaning against his wall, reading his book that he kept with him at all times. Kakashi-sensei. What are you doing here this early? Well, I brought you home last night, so I decided to stay with you until you woke up. Naruto gave him a confused look as he scratched the back of his head. That's kinda weird, sensei. Why did you? Naruto was cut off as out of the corner of his eye, he saw both Asuma and Kurenai leaning against the wall. Asuma and Kurenai-sensei. Why are you two here as well? Neither of them spoke as they stayed in place, and soon Naruto saw that further down the wall were Choza and several more Jonin. Why are all you guys here? Did something happen? Nobody said anything, though Kakashi did close his book and stuff his hands into his pockets as he turned towards the door, as standing in front of it was Shikaku-sensei. After Naruto noticed him, Shikaku gave a nod as he walked forward, as all of the Jonin did as well as they surrounded Naruto's bed, making him sweat. Naruto Uzumaki. Shikaku spoke as Naruto leaned against the wall, not knowing what was going on. Why yeah. You know who all of course, but as per tradition, I must introduce ourselves as the Jonin Council. They all did an introductory bow, causing Naruto to raise an eye as he kept looking over all of them, trying to see if this might be a trap or prank by someone. Alright, why are you all here? I didn't do anything, did I? No. Well, you've done nothing to warrant being worried if that's what you're wondering about. Shikaku gave a head nod to Kakashi, who returned it as he stepped up towards Naruto. Naruto, yesterday, did anything feel off to you? Yesterday. Well, now that you mention it, Naruto crossed his arms as he tried to remember, recalling that something did feel off early on. Yeah, it felt like something was heavy on my shoulders, and it also felt like I was being watched. Right, and that was because you were being watched. The Anbu Black Ops were following you all day yesterday and all night, and are still watching over you. The heavy thing you felt was a genjutsu they had deployed to protect you. Protect me. Is someone after my life? Someone sent by Orochimaru perhaps? Kakashi shrugged as he looked outside. It's possible that there is someone out there planning to take your life, but we have nothing that can confirm that. However, we can't deny that either, so you're going to be protected every minute of every day from now on. How come? Kakashi looked over at Shikaku, who nodded as he pulled out a scroll and opened it. Naruto. You remember how the 5th Hokage has yet to be decided on, correct? Yeah. Why? Well, that's the reason you're being guarded the way you are right now. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he gave a questioning look. What do you mean? Do I know who it is, and you need me to answer some questions or whatever? Is that why I'm being protected? Shikaku shook his head as he looked down at the scroll. 4 days ago, the Fire Daimyo appointed the 5th Hokage of Konoha, and yesterday morning, the Jonin Council got together to vote on the nomination. And by a vote of 7-3, Shikaku closed the scroll as he kept his eyes on Naruto, who started to go wide-eyed. The council has approved you, Naruto Uzumaki, as the 5th Hokage of Konoha. As soon as the words left his mouth, Naruto's eyes went wide as his voice caught in his throat. He tried to speak but couldn't. Every word he decided to form wouldn't come out. He just kept staring at Shikaku, who stared right back. Naruto looked over at Kakashi as some words finally started to form. Kakashi-sensei. This is a joke. Alright. Kakashi didn't say anything for a moment as he closed his eye and shook his head. No. He's telling the truth, Naruto. Naruto just stared at Kakashi as a mix of emotions began to swirl inside of his stomach, making him almost sick as he just looked across all the faces of everyone who was present. They were all serious, stone-faced really, showing no emotion as they all stared at Naruto. Naruto kept looking across all of their faces until his gaze met Shikaku's again, who spoke once more. Of course, should you refuse, then this meeting will never be spoken of again, and a hunt for a new Hokage shall continue. The choice is yours, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto just took the words in as all kinds of thoughts entered his mind. Ever since he was a kid, his dream was always to become Hokage. Nothing ever came before that. Every day of his training, Jiraiya told him that he had to get stronger to become Hokage, he had to keep pushing and never give up. And here it was. The offer. The council voted, and they wanted him as their leader, no. As the leader of the village. Everyone would depend on him. Everyone would need him, everyone might acknowledge him. Naruto cast a downward shadow as a tear ran down his cheek as he quickly wiped it off, everyone patiently waiting for his answer, until Naruto finally looked Shikaku in the eyes as determination swirled throughout his body. Shikaku-sensei, I'll do it. I'll become Hokage. As soon as the words left his mouth, Shikaku nodded as everyone placed their fists on their chests. Very well then, we pledge to serve you. Everyone got onto their knee and in unison said, Hokage-sama. Naruto was taken aback from the scene, yet a sense of pride welled up in him as he couldn't help but smile as another tear ran down his face, causing him to wipe it away. Naruto smiled as he looked across everyone, but as everyone stayed kneeled he got a bit embarrassed as he spoke, You guys can stand back up. Everyone immediately did so as smiles were on each of their faces, slightly amused by Naruto's embarrassment. However, that amusement vanished as Shikaku spoke back up, now then. We have a lot of things to explain to you, Hokage-sama, I'll explain most of them on the way though. On the way to where? To your private inauguration, of course, you still have to follow tradition after all. Okay, Are we walking? Everyone gave a small laugh as Naruto jumped off his bed and followed Shikaku out with everyone following closely behind. However, as soon as he was on the railing, he looked down and saw a chariot. I didn't even know we had those here. They're not commonly used due to the materials needed to make one, but we always kept one around for use by the Hokage. Sarutobi-sama never wished to use it as he enjoyed walking, so it's not common knowledge that we have one. I see. Wait, does that mean? Shikaku nodded as he gave a smile back to Naruto. It's pretty slow compared to how you usually travel, I hope you don't mind. No, it's fine. Just different is all. Shikaku nodded as they all walked down the steps as Naruto noticed the heavy feeling again, most likely because of some genjutsu, while also noticing several Jonin were around his apartment. Kakashi and I will ride with you while the others will walk beside it. Unless you have different plans. No, that's fine. Shikaku once again nodded as he opened the door to the chariot and allowed Naruto to get inside first before him and Kakashi followed suit. Once the door was shut, the driver allowed the other Jonin to get in place before he motioned for the horses draped with Konoha's symbol to begin their trot to the tower. Once Naruto settled into the chariot, the highly comfortable seat certainly helped with that. Shikaku, who had sat in front of Naruto along with Kakashi, began speaking. Hokage-sama, currently we are traveling to Hokage Tower for your private inauguration ceremony, which will only be attended by all of the village's Jonin, the head of all the clans, and a special guest. The general public will not be made aware of your appointment as Hokage until the public ceremony, which we will immediately begin preparing for and hope that it will only take a couple of weeks until then. That said, however, we humbly ask that you continue to live your everyday life while still performing your duties as Hokage. Of course, you have every right not to. Naruto nodded as Shikaku took out another scroll and opened it up and began reading notes off of it. Now, as you know, being Hokage means you are the absolute ruler of Konoha, your word is law and nobody is above your rule. If you feel like someone deserves a promotion, they will get a promotion. If you wish to change the symbol will be changed. If you wish to ban trading, it will be banned. If you wish to change the dress code, it will be changed, and if you wish for someone to die, they will die. Naruto gulped as he nodded his head as Shikaku undid more of the scroll. You will have a constant security detail escorting you, though you can of course keep it minimal, and the Anbu will never make their presence known unless you call on them. The head of the clans are no different than anyone else, they are not above you, and should you feel that one is acting out of line, a team of Jonin will be sent to deal with them. Naruto felt more sweat fall down his face as he nodded, realizing how terrible it could be if the wrong person became Hokage. Finally, you will have many things to make decisions on, though of course, you can give the duty to someone else if you wish. You will also never be removed from power unless it's because of death or resignation, and should it be by resignation, you shall continue to live your life in luxury and be well protected. Shikaku folded the scroll back up afterward as he placed it back into his vest as Naruto processed all of the information given to him. Any questions? Just one. Will I be allowed out of the village? While we strongly discourage it, we can't stop you. As I mentioned, you are the ruler of this village, and no one can stop you from doing anything you want. The law doesn't apply to you, there are no rules. Naruto gulped once again as he sat back in his seat as he looked outside and saw the sun shining on all the buildings as the carriage slowly moved past them all. Naruto kept watching the buildings slowly go by before he looked at Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, I guess this means we won't be able to train anymore, huh? Well, there isn't any rule against it. Although that jutsu I was telling you about. You can order me just to teach it to you if you want. No. I want to earn it. I may have achieved my dream, but I can't stop now. I'm going to get a new dream, and it will be even bigger and better. Naruto gripped his seat as determination filled his eyes, making Kakashi smile. The chariot continued as the three inside went quiet, questions filling all of their minds as the sun got higher and higher, as all the Jonin walking alongside the chariot kept watch over everything. As the chariot approached the tower, many of the Chunin who were assigned to guard immediately tensed up a little as they saw the chariot pull in. They didn't know who it was, all they knew was that the Hokage was in that chariot and they knew to show proper respect. Iruka was one of the Chunin as a part of him tightened up as the chariot got closer and closer to the tower until it finally came to a stop, just a few feet away from him. The doors opened as sweat rolled down his face. Shikaku and Kakashi both exited the chariot first, and each of them took a side right beside the door to the inside of the chariot as all of the Chunin and even the Jonin watched the chariot, awaiting their next leader. Irake kept his eyes trained on the chariot, and soon it shook as a hooded figure descended the steps. Indeed, to prevent the news from spreading, the next Hokage had been cloaked in a black cloak and had their face covered with an old Anbu mask. The masked Hokage looked around as none of the Jonin with the chariot moved, their eyes still watching every corner around. However, as soon as the Hokage began walking towards the tower, they all started walking in unison, surrounding the Hokage like a barrier to prevent anyone from getting close and seeing him. As they got closer to him, Iruka straightened up and placed his fist over his heart to salute the Hokage as the Jonin all lined up beside the door like an alleyway as the masked Hokage walked in between them and entered into the tower, making Iruka sweat drop when they walked by him. Iruka did notice that the new Hokage seemed to be short, but he brushed it aside as being a genjutsu used to fool everyone even more. Once the Hokage was through the door, all of the Jonin with him lined up and entered into the tower, with the door closing right behind them as Iruka heard the door lock, as his heart was practically beating out of his chest from nervousness. After a few moments, he realized that he had kept a breath in, and let it out as soon as he noticed while sweat poured down his face, his heart still beating uncontrollably. The only thoughts entering into his mind were that he had to get serious now, as his new leader was inside of the building he was guarding and he had to give his life to protect him. Once he was inside of the tower, Naruto stopped walking as Shikaku went to the wall and hit a hidden panel as the floor started to move and revealed a staircase heading down. All of the Jonin headed down while Kakashi and Shikaku got on each side of Naruto as Shikaku spoke. We're going to take a left at the bottom and enter into the door. Inside is the dressing room where we'll get you into your robes. Naruto just nodded, having been told not to speak until they were in the hidden passage as they began the walk down the steps. Shikaku and Kakashi staying with him stride for stride until they reached the bottom as the floor closed back up as the trio took a left and finally entered into the dressing room. Once inside, Naruto let out a sigh as he took off his mask and black cloak and placed it on a chair inside, while Shikaku and Kakashi both waited for him. Man, walking past Iruka-sensei and not saying anything to him wasn't easy. Shikaku gave a smile as he walked over and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Well, in just a couple of weeks you'll be able to talk to him all you want about your new position. Now I have to head onto the ceremony room and give the opening remarks. During that time, Kakashi will help you get into your robes. Near the end of my speech, one of the Jonin will come and tell you to come on, and you will then proceed to the door on the right of the staircase and wait until I introduce you. Afterward, you will walk down the aisle and to the front where I will deem you the 5th Hokage and place the hat on you. Any questions? Do I have to say anything? Only if you want to, otherwise I'll give the ending remarks with you right beside me and then we'll head on up to the office and get started. Naruto nodded as Shikaku gave a smile before he walked to the door and pointed at Kakashi. Well, Kakashi, see you at the ceremony. Yeah, see you there. Silence came over the two after the door was shut, as Kakashi and Naruto stood in the room together, neither one moving as time ticked on and on. So, how long do you think it will be until I'm called for? Well, Shikaku figured you might have some nerves, so he's going to try to stretch it out for about an hour. His remarks will consist of a brief history of all the Hokages before you, and then he'll start explaining your life story to everyone, even if all the Jonin and clans leaders already know the truth. The truth. Naruto gave Kakashi a questioning look as he shrugged and leaned against the wall. Since you're now Hokage, you're going to find out sooner or later. However, someone specifically requested to tell you, so I'll keep quiet about it for now. Unless you want me to go ahead and tell you, Naruto. No, if someone wants to tell me, I'm sure it's for a reason that it's them. Naruto went quiet again as he looked around the dressing room. It wasn't grand or anything, consisting of a few chairs, a large mirror, and makeup set on the front table should he choose to wear any. However, what caught Naruto's eye was the robes hanging right beside the mirror. Naruto gulped as he felt his heart trying to beat right out of his chest as he walked towards them. Once he was just a few feet from them, he reached out and touched them, the pure silk easily being felt. They were specifically made for you. Had the best designers in the village work on that for hours to make sure it was perfect. Naruto looked back at Kakashi and nodded as he kept running his hand over the robes. The robes were exquisite, being white that reached down to his feet with a red keffiyeh that covered the chest and back with the symbol of Konoha on both sides and the kanji for Hokage under it. Naruto kept staring at them until he finally spoke after seemingly becoming lost in their sight. This is real. I'm Hokage. Yeah, you finally achieved your dream, Naruto. Naruto kept looking at the robes before his hand dropped to the side as he looked back at Kakashi with a lost look. Am I ready though? I'm sure there were more qualified candidates, right? In terms of pure skill, most certainly. But you weren't chosen just based off of skill. You were chosen for many reasons. One is your personality, always looking on the positive side. Another is your knowledge. Despite your grades, you're smarter than you let on. You still need training, but you have the potential to become one of the strongest in the village. You also fully believe in the people of this village and the village itself, and that in itself is a big reason you were chosen. I see, so in a way, it's because of what I can become, not because of who I am right now. I didn't say. No, it's fine, I know that was also one of the reasons. Which is fine, because that shows how much they believe in me. Naruto gripped his hand as he looked at Kakashi with another look of determination. I swear Kakashi-sensei, I'll be the best Hokage you've ever met, believe it. Hey, I hope so. My life is yours to command, after all, Hokage-sama. Naruto went red from embarrassment as he quickly swung his hands. Can you just call me Naruto, Kakashi-sensei? It feels weird if you call me Hokage. Kakashi let out a small laugh as he walked over to Naruto and nodded. Sure. Though some of the others might find it weird if they hear the Hokage calling me sensei. Then I'll only do it when we're alone or with Sakura and Sasuke. Kakashi nodded as he looked over at the robes and motioned at them. Ready to put them on? Oh yeah, I guess I am. Kakashi walked over towards them as he instructed Naruto to undress down to his shirt and briefs. After taking off his orange sweatshirt, Naruto threw it onto one of the chairs as he undid the shorts he had on and also threw them to the chair, leaving him in just his white shirt and underwear. Alright, first, the robe. Naruto nodded as he closed his eyes with anticipation as Kakashi took the outfit off of the wall and placed the keffiyeh on the front table. He raised the robes as he draped it over Naruto, who stood perfectly still until it was on and his head came out the top. Go ahead and put your arms through. Naruto nodded as he moved his arms around until he found the sleeves and placed them through until both were out. Once that was settled, Kakashi straightened out the robe some before picking the keffiyeh off of the table and putting it over Naruto's head, as he proceeded to straighten it out and make sure it was even. After making sure the robe was perfectly on, Kakashi patted Naruto on the shoulder as he opened his eyes. Take a look in the mirror. Naruto turned towards the mirror and was amazed to see himself in the actual Hokage robes, something he had dreamed about since he was a kid. He then finally looked down at the robes as he moved around in them. Wow, they do fit perfectly. Told you they would. Now, go ahead and take off your headband. Whenever you're wearing your robes, it's best to either hide it or not wear it at all. Since we have nothing to hide it with right now, go ahead and give it to me. Naruto nodded as he looked in the mirror and undid his headband before he gave it to Kakashi, who folded it up and placed it on the table. Now, the final piece. Naruto gave him a questioning look as Kakashi walked forward and stuck his hand into Naruto's robe pocket as he pulled out 2 white gloves. He motioned for Naruto's hands, which Naruto complied as Kakashi placed the gloves onto his hands, making sure they were firmly on each side as now his entire body but his face was covered in his new outfit. Comfortable. Ah yeah, very. This is really comfortable actually. Glad to hear. Never been good at dressing people, so I'm glad I did a decent job here. Naruto gave a small laugh as he kept looking at the robes until he looked at Kakashi. Hey I was wondering something. What is it? Would it be alright if Iruka-sensei came in here? I know Shikaku-sensei said to wait until the public ceremony, but Naruto sighed as Kakashi just smirked as he nodded. Considering he was one of the few people to look out for you as you grew up, I don't see any problem with it. Hehe. Thanks sensei. As the morning sun illuminated the area, Iruka continued to observe the many people who were looking at the tower from afar. Sure, they wouldn't be able to see anything thanks to the genjutsu placed on it, but a buzz was in the air around the village about the new Hokage after the entire area around the tower was closed off, causing many people to think that the new Hokage had been decided upon. Of course, not only had he been decided on, but he was about to be introduced to the village leaders, making Iruka highly vigilant as he watched every inch and corner, making sure nobody had somehow got around all the security. However, as he continued to watch, he jumped a little when he heard the door unlock as he immediately saluted, thinking the new Hokage was already done. However, when the door opened, Kakashi walked outside and closed the door behind him, making Iruka drop his salute. Kakashi. Iruka, I see everything is going well. Ah yeah, no problems that I can see so far. However, the fact you're out here means something's wrong, doesn't it? Actually no, everything is going according to plan so far. just have a request by the Hokage. Iruka tilted his head in confusion as Kakashi spoke. The Hokage wishes to meet with you, Iruka. What? Iruka was taken aback as Kakashi showed no signs of joking. Why? Well, you two know each other, and I'm guessing he wants to talk to you before his life is forever changed. We know each other. Kakashi nodded as he opened the door and stepped back. Well, since he called for you, you're technically his guest, so I'll lead you to where he is. But what about my post? No worries, someone will cover it for you. After all, the Hokage overrides all previous orders you were given. Why, yeah, I know. Iruka gulped as he walked inside of the tower as Kakashi followed before closing the door and locking it back. Iruka felt his heart about to beat out of his chest as Kakashi lowered the stairs and led Iruka to the dressing room on the left, each step making him more and more nervous about who possibly was chosen as the fifth. Once the two of them reached the room, Kakashi made sure no one was following them as he opened it and allowed Iruka to head inside. Once inside, Iruka noticed how nice and well kept the room was, not the most impressive but a nice dressing room. As Iruka scanned the room over, his eyes stopped when he locked eyes with the person standing in the middle of the room, Naruto. Hey, Iruka-sensei. Iruka raised an eyebrow as he took a step forward. What are you doing here? Isn't this where the Iruka's words caught in his mouth as he noticed what Naruto was wearing with the white robes. But he also noticed the symbol of the village and the Hokage kanji on his keffiyeh as he stopped in his tracks as his eyes moved back up to Naruto's face. Hokage. Naruto. You. Naruto gave an embarrassed smile as he scratched the back of his head. Why, yeah. I'm the fifth Hokage, Iruka-sensei. Iruka kept staring at Naruto as his mouth slowly went agape as he looked back at Kakashi. Is he telling the truth? Yes he is. Naruto. Or rather the Hokage-sama is telling the truth. Iruka's eyes went wide as his mouth opened even more as he looked back at Naruto, who was still smiling and rubbing the back of his head as he slowly walked over to him, each step making his heart beat faster and faster. Naruto. I can't believe it, I mean. Hokage. Iruka closed his mouth and gulped as he kept looking Naruto over. Naruto. Iruka felt a tear run down his face as he quickly wiped it off as he smiled at Naruto, who returned the smile with a smug grin. I told you, Iruka-sensei, I told you I would become Hokage. Yes, you did. Iruka's smile grew even wider as he laid a hand on Naruto's shoulder. I'm sorry for doubting you a few times, but you proved me wrong like you have so many other times in the past. Naruto nodded as he pumped his fists together as he spoke. I hope I'll keep proving you wrong, sensei. It's what I do best after all. Hey, I can't deny that you always prove me wrong, Naru. Hokage-sama. Iruka felt more tears run down his face as he saluted to Naruto and bowed on one knee towards him as Naruto was still taken aback from the gesture but gave a confident smile as he nodded. Hehe. I'm glad to hear, sensei. Iruka wiped away more tears as he stood back up with a smile that a father might use when he was more than proud of his son, although kind of like with Kakashi-sensei, can you still call me Naruto? It's weird hearing anything else from you. Hey, yes, I can't refuse an order from the Hokage, huh? Yeah, that's fine. Although I'm no longer above you, so from now on, be sure to call me Iruka. You sure thing, Iruka-sensei. I mean Iruka. Iruka laughed as he patted Naruto on the shoulder once again. Well, practice makes perfect, I guess. The two of them shared a laugh before Iruka gave a confident look at Naruto. The people of this village might not accept you, Naruto, they never have. But I think that can change, and I think it will change. You've proven me wrong time and time again, now it's time to prove them wrong, alright. This is the last order you'll ever going to hear from me, which is to make this village believe in you. Naruto got a stern look as he nodded before smiling. Of course. I'll do it. I'll not only make them believe in me, but I'll also make sure no kid ever has to go through what I went through, believe it. As the final task assigned by you, I'll gladly do it, Iruka-sensei. Iruka nodded as a knock was heard on the door before an older woman opened it. Hokage-sama, it's almost time. Naruto nodded as he looked back at Iruka. Well, I guess it's time for my private ceremony. You want to come? Thanks, but I have a more important job right now, which is protecting you. I'll make sure that as long as I live, nothing ever hurts you, Naruto. That's my promise, not as a teacher, but as a friend. Then I promise this, I'll make sure that I'll lead this village into the best age of its lifetime so the kids you teach won't have to worry about the stuff we worry about. That's a promise as both a friend and as the Hokage. Hey, I'm glad to hear. Naruto nodded as Iruka and him shared a quick hug before he walked over to Kakashi and nodded as Naruto left the room with the older lady as Kakashi looked at Iruka. I'll give you credit. You believed in him when no one else did, Iruka. All I can say is thank you. Iruka looked surprised for a moment before he smiled and nodded. Well, I'm his bodyguard until he says I'm not anymore, so I need to head on. Might want to hurry back to your shift before the other Chunin finds out. Hehe, right. Kakashi left the room as Iruka stood in the middle of it as more tears ran down his face as he clenched his hand. Naruto. Never lose that spirit of yours. Naruto followed the old lady down the hallway with Kakashi close behind as sweat rolled down his face. Whether it was because of the moment or because how hot the hall wasn't entirely known, though if one had to guess it was because of both. As the footsteps echoed throughout the hallway, the door to the ceremony room came into view when they rounded a corner as the trio stopped right outside of it. The woman beckoned for Naruto to stand beside her, which when he did so, he was able to hear Shikaku on the other side of the door. I say this because we are at a defining moment in our history. We have concealed the truth, and we have made Hokage-sama's life hell because of it, yet what has he done? He has continued to love the people of this village, and every day he trains so he can be strong enough to protect them. I don't know how many other people would be willing to do that if they went through the hell he's been through. Naruto gulped as he heard that phrase again, about hiding the truth. He still didn't know what the village had been hiding, yet it scared him a little. Yet he had long chosen not to hold a grudge against the village. Of course, Jiraiya played a significant role in that decision. Naruto felt a pat on his back from Kakashi before he had walked over to the door with the old woman, each of them grabbing one of the handles as they faced each other as Naruto's heart began to beat right out of his chest. I want to end my speech with this. Don't judge him because of lies that have been spread, or some of the childish things he did in the past. He risked his life to save this village during Orochimaru's attacks despite just going through a grueling match in the Chunin exams. I ask that everyone here will support him, and help this village grow. Now, I ask for everyone to stand and salute, as I introduce to you the 5th Hokage of Konoha, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto immediately heard the sound of drums as Kakashi and the old woman nodded as they pushed the doors open, revealing a medium-sized room with a giant flag on the back wall with the crest of the village. A grand stage in the middle with pews rounding out the sides, each one having the village symbol inscribed on it. When the doors opened, several Jonin were positioned on the side with the flag of the village with drummers playing the village's anthem. Naruto gulped as he began walking forward. Each time he passed a pair of Jonin holding flags, they lowered them out of respect for him. As Naruto walked, he looked around, saw all the dominant clan's heads facing him with their fists over their chest, none of them showing any emotion but respect towards him. As Naruto walked, he saw that the very front pew only had one person sitting on it, and was shocked to see Jiraiya, who was saluting like the rest, yet he had a smile on his face, and when Naruto's eyes met his, Naruto swore he saw a tear on Jiraiya's face, though after one of the flags was lowered obstructing it for just a moment, it was gone when he passed by the flag. The two looked at each other for just a moment before Naruto gave a smile and nod to him before he looked back towards the front where Shikaku and the other members of the Jonin Council were standing as they saluted him. Naruto stopped right before the stairs as he let out one long sigh as he began walking up them before he stopped right in front of Shikaku, as the drummers played out the rest of the anthem before finally finishing up as Shikaku lowered his fist and motioned Naruto to his stand on his right as he got back in front of the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my high honor to officially complete Naruto-sama's appointment as Hokage as I bestow upon him the sacred hat that has been passed down from the very first. One of the Jonin off to the side brought the hat over as it rested on a pillow as Shikaku picked it up and looked at Naruto, butterflies ravaging his stomach when he saw the hat. Naruto Uzumaki. By appointment of the Fire Daimyo, and as approved by the Jonin Council, you are hereby deemed the 5th Hokage of Konoha. Shikaku took the hat and placed it on top of Naruto's head as everyone in the room immediately kneeled towards him as Shikaku spoke once more. From this day forth, we are yours to serve, and just like in Naruto's room, the entire audience said in unison, Hokage-sama. Naruto's breath caught in his throat as he looked across everyone in awe, the moment still not fully hitting him until everyone stood back up still saluting as Shikaku motioned for the podium, as if to ask if Naruto wished to speak. After thinking for a moment, Naruto nodded as Shikaku bowed and stepped back as Naruto got in front of the podium and looked across everyone, the weight on his shoulders growing heavier. I didn't have a speech prepared beforehand, after all just 2 hours ago I was dreaming about ramen, hey. Naruto gave a small laugh. Some of the clansmen shared the laugh though most just smiled at him as he continued. But to say this is an honor would be an understatement. Ever since I was a child, I have dreamt of becoming Hokage, and I always used that as motivation to keep moving forward. Of course, that wasn't the only reason I was able to move forward. People like Iruka, Kakashi and Jiraiya was also a big reason. Naruto looked over at Jiraiya as the two of them shared a smile, but I know that the real fight starts here. This village was just involved in one of the worst attacks we have ever seen, and many people lost their lives or at the very least lost loved ones. One of my teammates and friends, you all know him as Sasuke Uchiha, is currently still in a coma because of that attack. One of my first duties as Hokage is not only to help this village rebuild, but also to hunt down and kill Orochimaru, for not only that vile attack but also because he killed a great man in the 3rd Hokage. Everyone in the room lost their smile as they nodded and had severe and attentive looks plastered onto their face, the hate for Orochimaru surfacing. Speaking of the 3rd. I'm not him, I understand that. I'll never be as great of a leader as he was, nor will I ever be as strong as he was. Yet I'll do my best to fill his shoes as I promise his memory will never be forgotten. Everyone nodded as some of the 3rd's family such as Asuma cast a downwards look as Naruto went to finish up. I ask that everyone here guides me, because if I try to do everything by myself, then it won't end well. This village is as powerful as it is, because we all work together, not because one man asserts his will. I'll be coming to everyone here for advice often, and I hope that you all are willing to give it to me. Most of the audience nodded as many were impressed by Naruto's sudden maturity, something he had never displayed to them before. I want to end this by asking a simple question. I know that many people were more qualified than I am, or may ever be. I want to ask, and also want to state that there will be no repercussions for speaking if anyone here feels that I am not ready for the job. Everyone looked at each other to see if anyone actually had any objections. It seemed there was none. Until, I have something to say. Everyone in the room immediately became tense as an old man came out from one of the pews and stood in the middle of the room, directly facing Naruto as the Jonin and clansmen all went on guard, yet Naruto took a deep breath and nodded. I see. You may continue. Now I don't have any objections to you, Hokage-sama, yet. I want to make sure you're going to do something the 3rd never did. That would be compensation. The 3rd ordered for my brother and his wife to be killed, leaving our clan without a true leader. We're already facing a crisis as our members are getting lower and lower every year. Everyone in the room glared at the man as Naruto kept his poker face on. May I ask who you are and what clan you represent? Humph. My name is Unkai Kurama from the Kurama clan. Shikaku went over to Naruto to tell him who they were, but the clan that specializes in genjutsu, correct? Shikaku was surprised Naruto knew who they were, yet he saw Jiraiya nodding in approval, making him realize who Naruto learned that from. As expected of the Hokage, then you know that the third ordered for my brother and his wife to be killed in a house fire, correct? Naruto kept looking over the man as he gave a sigh and swung his head. I'm afraid I don't know any details concerning that event. Humph. Well, it happened. I know that for a fact, and I believe my clan deserves compensation. Quote. Unkai, tell me something, are you the head of your clan? Huh, no. I'm a part of the branch family. I see. Then are you the representative of your clan, or is the clan's leader here? Unkai went silent for a moment as he looked back at the pew he was sitting on. No. I came as the escort for the clan leader. Then, I ask for the clan leader to come out and speak, please. After a moment of silence, a young girl, not much older than Naruto, if not the same age, stepped out. Wearing a pink kimono and brown hair, she stopped beside her uncle as she looked at Naruto stone-faced. I'm assuming you're Yakumo Kurama. My father was the head of our clan until his death. I'm now the head of my clan with my uncle guiding me for now. Naruto nodded as he motioned for her to continue. I believe the third Hokage ordered for my parents to be killed, just as my uncle said. May I ask why you believe this? I overheard the third speaking, and he said that if I became too much a threat, then he would order me to be killed. This is because of my powers thanks to my bloodline. Yes, I've learned that the most powerful members of your clan have a Kekkei Genkai so strong that it can make illusion a reality. That's correct. Naruto nodded as he noticed Kurenai with a semi-guilty look on her face, making him interested in the story behind it. Well, as I have told your uncle, I don't know the full events of what happened with your parents. But I want to state that I knew the third very well. He was one of my mentors growing up, and because of that I can't see him doing something as heinous as that. But, however, Naruto spoke on top of her as he gave a stern look. I also understand that tough decisions have to be made sometimes and that nobody is perfect. We sometimes do things for the greater good, even if it means making sacrifices, so I can't say it didn't happen. So because of that, I want to apologize on behalf of the third and myself formally. Naruto did a small bow towards the two of them, as everyone was taken aback by the action, especially Yakumo. I will review what happened that night, and then I'll talk to you about any compensation that I believe is worthy. I know that nothing will ever bring your parents back, but I hope I can help ease the pain some. Yakumo was quiet for a minute before she wiped her face off as she did about Naruto. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Naruto gave a smile and nodded as she straightened herself and went back to her pew to sit down. I hope this is satisfactory for now, Unkai. Unkai didn't say anything as he just turned and went back his seat as everyone kept their glares on him. Now, does anyone else have anything to say? Everyone looked around, and this time, they were even more sure they had no objections as Naruto let out a laugh. Then, I want to thank everyone here, and I officially turn it back over to Shikaku for the closing remarks. Everyone saluted when Naruto walked to the side as Shikaku took back over as he looked across everyone. I believe any fears we had about his maturity has been answered. I also don't believe any more has to be said. Hokage-sama, every one of us here pledged to serve you. Everyone in the room saluted as Shikaku said one last thing. This concludes the ceremony for Naruto Uzumaki as the 5th Hokage of Konoha. Everyone let out a cheer as the drums began playing again as Shikaku led Naruto down the aisle as the flags were lowered once again when he walked by, as some of the clansmen either bowed towards him or reached their hands out as Naruto shook them, a bit overwhelmed by the moment as a goofy grin was plastered on his face. From the door though, Kakashi just watched, a smile present under his mask. Naruto. When Jiraiya said you had a hidden mature side, I didn't think it meant you could hold the presence that a Hokage would hold. This village is in safe hands under you. I hope the people around you lead you in the right direction.